The names that we know were Mayo, who is now no longer in the running, Schwartz, Flores, who now gets a head coaching request to be interviewed, and then Desai, who's still coaching his Seattle Seahawks defense. What do you think what's the fit? Who's the best fit? What do you think the Browns need in that defensive coordinator position that they're searching for?
Well, I think the big thing they need is leadership and a guy that, is going to be, instilling some mental toughness in this defensive group. Because what we saw from the Browns this past season was, it seemed like, things would be going along pretty smoothly for a little while. And then all of a sudden adversity hits. Like they gave up a big play for a touchdown. And then, they're not able to recover. It's just a case of they're not able to kind of stem the tide of negative momentum when it comes at them. And they're not able to, adjust, and they just kind of seem to get down on themselves. They can't turn that momentum around. So they need a guy who's going to, get them to continue to work through adversity, get them to make some adjustments, and get them to understand that, hey, this is the NFL. You're going to give up yards. You're going to give up touchdowns. You're going to give up bad plays. But it's what you do next after that matters. And, I mean, the Steelers game is a perfect example. The first half, they forced that turnover on the goal line. Everything looks good in the first half. And then all of a sudden on that 3rd and 15, Kenny Pickett finds a wide open George Pickens. And from there, the defense kind of fell apart, the rest of the way into the second half. And that was a big reason why they lost. And in a way, it was kind of a microcosm of the entire season. So I think it's just kind of toughness, number one, and number two, finding a way to get the most out of this group, especially, using what the players have, what they're able to do to their advantage. I've talked before about, some of their best players are at their best going downhill and attacking the line of scrimmage. A coordinator who's able to kind of be more willing to turn those guys loose, I think, is a good way to go.
I would agree. The other thing I would say is they have a lot of guys who are cerebral. Let's use that as a term. Kevin Stefanski, I think to a certain extent even Joe Woods was kind of cerebral. I don't think you want the same type of personalities across your coaching staff. I think they need somebody who's a little fire and brimstone maybe, tough-minded, not so warm and fuzzy. Almost the principle. If you mess up, you don't want to have to deal with this guy who's now the new defensive coordinator. That's what I'm looking for, and the aggressiveness.
Yeah, I mean, you got to have some of that on defense. And like I've said before in the show, I think a big thing with me, my criticism of Joe Woods has been that at times it seemed like this defense has not been ready to play, that they haven't had the energy you need to play defense. And I think a lot of that comes, from energy and toughness and kind of an aggressive attacking mindset. And it felt like that was never really there this past season, from start to finish. There were times when they looked aggressive, but, by and large, it was kind of a passive type of approach, kind of let everything come to them instead of trying to make the opposing offense react to what they were doing as opposed to the other way around.
Yeah, I agree with you. And again, it's not something you can manufacture. You have to be that type of personality, because if you put on an act, professional athletes are going to sniff it out before most people, without question.